also on my web browser. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Union, engaging conversations about personal growth with Keith Palino and Desiree Cruz. We're having a little fun today. We are doing live to the web for the first time. We've done a few of these where we have recorded the call and posted it later. So welcome. You'll notice if you saw at the event at all that we're a little short on panelists today. I have this desire to have these great conversations. I've made all of these friends in the personal growth arena over the last 9 years, and I see them talking to themselves on Facebook a lot, and sometimes it's really cool, and a lot of times it's frustrating, because I know that person and I want, oh man, I want like all of them, and it's hard. I've done it. I've talked to a camera. It's hard to like fully be yourself. So this is the first in a weekly live web show. It'll be Desiree and I, and starting next week, you'll see a couple more faces each week in more of a roundtable discussion. So, we thought we would kind of use this, like what happened, as our topic for today, which is essentially, I put this big desire out to all of my friends, and I got a lot of responses. And in the last, 5 days or so, basically everybody's available starting next week. And so, it's like, oh, there's that and in my chest and in like actually in like my upper diaphragm, that is like, oh, what was there, all the kind of conditioning responses to putting my desire out into the world starts to happen. And so we thought we'd talk about desire and how it feels to acknowledge it internally, and what happens when you put it out into the world, and what is your own responses to desire, and how does it impact actually getting what you want, that kind of stuff. So hey Des.
Hi. Yeah, so when you were first talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, the desire cycle, like what happens in the desire cycle. And it's something that I learned in a desire class from Keith one time. And what I was thinking about is interesting. This has happened to me actually in the last 2 weeks as I've been doing I've been doing a 30-day challenge and really taking a deep look into my own like desire and codependency. And is like desire has to be very specific. So like the first thing I was thinking about, and like where you're looking on this cycle, and I think Keith has a picture of it that he was going to show, was that like if you're not super specific about your desire, you get your desire, you just may not get it the way that you actually wanted it. So we got a lot of responses for people to come and be on this panel with us, and people are really excited, and this is going to be an awesome thing to like really look at relationships and our own personal growth. But we have to be really specific about how we want it to show up, or we get it. And then if we're not grateful, that's another part of it, is like, if we're not grateful for how it shows up, then how do we receive more?
Here,
so
let's see if, where are you? There you are.
And at any given point, we can get stuck on this cycle. We can get stuck on knowing what you want. We can get stuck on like asking for it specifically. We can get stuck on actually receiving it. We can get stuck on being grateful for it. We can get stuck on paying it forward. And at any point that we get stuck, our desire gets stuck. So today, our desire seemed to have gotten stuck at where was it? Being present to receive what we did receive. I don't know. Maybe that we weren't specific enough about it.
Asking for what I wanted, and then there was like a certain kind of seizure around like, oh, that's 5 days away, and it's like a show, and like I have to do all this, and all my like presentation mind and production mind started to like, oh, how's it gonna go? How am I gonna run it? And I started to like try and figure it all out. And then, people started to contact me, and, and I was like, I wasn't as open to, some unexpected people contacted me, some people that I hadn't actually reached out to who saw a post, and I was like, oh, this is like, kind of a little more than I have per se.
Mm. So your desire was actually like people had a mutual desire. They wanted to be part of it. And then you couldn't have all of it. Is that what you're saying? That what happened?
I guess, yeah. It's like some like the like having this, narrowed a little bit, and only a certain, like I did end up like scheduling a bunch with people, but there's something around like being able to receive like a bunch of people being available, 5 days from now, and they're like, come on and talk. So there was something there where it was like my perception of my own readiness um, was not open to, like, oh yeah, I'm totally ready. I can just put together a show, um, and like whatever, anybody can come on, But I think the conditioned response to asking for what I want is there would be, for me personally, there's a certain amount of like bracing for the no or bracing for the cost. There's my personal perception. Conditioned response is that there's a cost. If I have my desire, there's some cost.
Mm.
Whether it's personal cost or cost to other people. I mean, sometimes a monetary cost, but that's usually the lowest cost. And so there's a part of me that still kind of like seizes and grips a little bit to to like what's that cost going to be, and so I think that was the part that couldn't quite have it be that a bunch of people were available today to come on, and I've got 3 or 4 more weeks scheduled out with guests already, and I'm super, for that part, I expressed being grateful for it, right? Um,
I want to back up a little bit too, like to this place where you were talking about like your havingness, like you had a havingness and then it like kind of got narrowed. And it's a place where like I think a lot of people hit where they don't believe that they can actually have like all of these panelists or people coming out of the woodwork that like want to be part of something and like actually it's like a co-rising desire for them to also be part of this and to spread this personal growth with everybody in a way that everybody can be able to see it. And so it's like our havingness level, like how do we expand that? And you'd mentioned one way, which was like to be grateful for it. Because I was talking to somebody earlier this week and I said, let's write some gratitudes. It feels like we're a little stuck right now. And it's like, how do we expand our havingness so that we can like let more abundance into our lives, because we already have so much. And it's like, the cup can only get so full. And so you've got to like empty it back out, and how can we empty it back out? How can we do it without depleting ourselves? How can we do it to like pay it forward? So like being grateful for what we have. And like you just mentioned that, like you're so grateful that like you've got all these people that want to be on there. We've got several weeks of panelists coming up. And so, maybe you could talk a little bit more about like the havingness, like how do you, like what's one way to like actually expand your havingness?
I mean, my experience with happiness is, like actually, so most of this is about cultivating awareness and, learning to, like, so if I cultivate a certain amount of awareness, cultivate a certain amount of being, present. Most people do that through meditation. Obviously, there are different ways to go about that. Then when I ask for something that's bigger than I can actually receive, or through some set of circumstances, I'm being given something that's more than I can actually receive consciously. The awareness that I've cultivated allows me to kind of see the impact of it. It's like trying to shove something into a container that doesn't fit it, right? It's just like friction and discomfort, and I've learn to recognize a lot of what those symptoms are, and then I can get curious about, what is it about this thing that I am not able to receive? What is it? Is it, is there some perception about myself that has it be that it's not okay, or that I'm, not going to handle it well, or, usually it's some idea about my own identity that's either conscious or unconscious that has it be that I can't actually receive it in. And so it's just the noticing of that, trying to get curious about what that is, and then looking deeper into if I discover anything about my identity or my reaction, then how can I how can I be more curious, try and get underneath what that behavior is? Where does it come from? Why do I believe it? Usually some form of protection um, for me personally. So yeah.
So I'm curious, what was the thing that you were trying to protect yourself from when your desire got hit, like, or the desire was out there, and then?
Are you coaching me?
No, I'm just I'm being curious. Is that how we coach? Oh, maybe it is.
Let's see. So that's a deflection for those of you out there, by the way.
I'm pretty good at staying on the spot, though.
It's a dissipator. So what got hit? It's something around. I think I have a kind of low key imposter syndrome that runs a lot of the time. There's some way that I'm going to be discovered, to not be who I say I am, or something like that, or that I have, I think I spent a lot of time in my teens and my early 20s trying to craft an external experience of me that didn't really match the insides. And so I think and that's probably older than that. It's probably happens a lot younger. And so I think there's this kind of also this habituated constant fear that somebody's going to discover that what's in here isn't actually the thing that I present to the world, which is true. Like, there's a lot of state management, which is good, which is like managing how I actually allow my mind to be operating on a daily basis. I manage my state, and there's just a certain amount of like I'm still mapping my own internal terrain, and I'm still discovering aspects of my emotional self that my conditioning is constantly tries to keep from me. That unconscious behavior is my conditioning trying to hide myself from me. So it's all those places where I feel stuck in between, like my awareness, the person I think is Keith Paolino, is stuck between my external representation of myself, what I present to the outside world, and this kind of inner parts of myself that feel unknown to me. And then there's this kind of strange position that I hold in my own life. And when it's something like this, where like, who knows who watches this and who's going to watch it, right? But there's the like fear magnification of, thousands of people are going to watch this and they're going to see what's really going on in here. And, it'll just be a reinforcement of all the reasons why people don't want, just all that stuff that happens.
Yeah, and so then we've got this, we're like, thousands of people. I think it's actually pretty awesome that that's what people actually need to see from all of us, is like, this is the personal growth that we're on. This is the looking at the internal landscape. This is what people are going to be seeing for the next 4 to 5 weeks on the Union, is all of us like looking at all of our internal stuff and and how we've gone in and looked at it ourselves. So that's why like we help other people see it too, because we have that awareness that other people don't quite yet. It's like helping them find it. So and desire is the beginning of it. It's like it's the thing that fuels a lot of our actions and our conditioning, and it triggers all of our conditioning. And so it's going to come up. We're going to see it. It's going to be an ongoing thread through the next 5 weeks for sure. So, and hopefully, I mean, I think you just put one of those desires out there, which is like thousands of people will be watching it. So you might want to get a little more specific around that, or we don't know what we're going to get.
I don't know that I want to get more specific around thousands.
Thousands of English-speaking people, or people that understand us. Like, I don't know. Subtitles.
I think this, what we do is pretty universal. That anyone in this field, there are so many different flavors, and I do hope to highlight, as this keeps going, and that we've met, all the different people that we've met that over the years who are doing all different kinds of work. My hope is to highlight a lot of different flavors of transformational work, of personal growth work, to have it, that people can see, oh, there's an avenue for me. There's some option that will work for me to grow beyond where I am right now, to have this idea of myself where I'm at, and this idea of myself where I want to be, and that there's that gap, and that there are many, many different ways to learn about and look at and discover what's in that gap, and that takes us on the path.
Yeah, it reminds me of I've been talking to some people, and like how you do anything is how you do everything. And so there's this idea that, like you're saying, that it can apply to many different types of people and many different types of situations. And I think that's absolutely true. Like a lot of the things that I use for helping people in their personal lives is I just basically tweak it a little bit from when I was like doing business consulting. It's like how you act professionally is how you act personally. You just don't realize it. And like being able to like see those things cross contextually, and still like make it so that people can understand it and like translate it, alchemize it into their own language is really helpful. And then also letting my woo show out. Somebody said something about that the other day. Like they were like, "Oh, you're letting your woo show." Like, my woo woo, like my energetic stuff going on. But it's true. Like you call in, there is some kind of magic out there that people just don't want to acknowledge. And so it's like letting the woo show, as well as the like corporate like structure, and how to merge those two so that more people can actually benefit from this type of work that we do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Just like what is out there? Well, I think that we may have peaked today.
We peaked.
A little early today, and you can coming up in future weeks. We will start broadcasting at 12:15 or very shortly after, depending on technology, and then we will broadcast for about half an hour every week. So see you at 12:15 next Tuesday here, and thank you for watching. Yes.
Bye, y'all.